basically when you order a new packing set, it's part F28, and these are the components that will come to add a whole new packing agitator, packing nut, and peak bushing when you replace everything. And this is what I recommend if you've had any leakage.
Probably good to have a F28, I would say, in spare parts.
Definitely, yeah. This is one of the most common problems with the machines, just from the customer not tightening the packing, and as soon as you get any leakage, it seems to progress. Very important to explain to the customers when they change the packing to adjust it every 40 hours, or to at least look to make sure there's no leaking. And with the clear back on that A2000, it makes that job a lot easier. So we're going to replace the packing, put the new packing in now. Show you a couple different ways that we could do it. The first thing you want to do is back to the front of the machine, slide the agitator down into the agitator nipple, and you'll see the agitator now protrude through the vessel. And this part, it's a lot easier if you have somebody else to help you with this. You can hold the agitator from this side and start putting the packing in. If you can grab somebody else for 5 minutes, it makes the job a lot easier. I'm going to have Tom hold the agitator for me so I can show you the inserting the packing. Again, there's three, the old parts that we removed, there's three new components that we're going to put in. The agitator rope, you have a graphite cylinder, and the agitator rope again. We're going to start with the first rope. And basically you want to start by sliding one end in, and then you'll wrap it, slowly wrap it around, and you want to keep sliding the rope up inside the nipple as you go. And you can use a small screwdriver, again the one that's sent with the machine, and you very carefully push up on the rope, and you just have to keep pressing to get the rope up inside the nipple. You slide it as far up as you can get it. At the end, we'll use the packing nut and the bushing to compress everything. So if you can slide it up as far as you can. Then once you have the first rope in, the graphite cylinder is easier to get up inside than the rope. Basically slide this over. You want to be careful when you're sliding this on, that you're carefully sliding it on, because if you don't, and you go to slide it on, you could break it apart and it will fray like this. And this is a damaged piece, and you do not want to use this if this happens. So it's probably not a bad idea to have a couple cylinders on hand too. Basically, once you start that, this will slide up the shaft. And sometimes now, once you start that inside, I'll have Tom slide the agitator up just a little bit, and you'll see that it will slide right up inside. Go ahead, Tom.
Sucks it up a little bit.
Okay. And then you can slide the agitator back down, and that cylinder will stay right inside. Then at that point, you can use the screwdriver to finish getting it up inside the rest of the way. And the last piece of rope, basically you want to start this one the same way, but it's best to, our last piece of rope we started here, you want to stagger your seams on the rope, just to help with leakage in the future if it's not tightened correctly. Basically start this the same way we did the first one. Basically we're going to do the same thing and work our way around. Yeah.
You go ahead.
Right over this side. Now this one you don't have to compress all the way up inside. We can use the peak bushing and the packing nut to finish compressing it once it's the majority of the way up inside, so it stays in place.
But it definitely takes some care, just a little bit of pressure all the way around, or else it won't. Doesn't seem like it. Can't force it really.
Right. Now you want to take the new peak bushing, slide that up, and we're going to use the packing nut to compress everything together. Basically, start the packing nut on. Tighten it by hand. You tighten it by hand until you can't tighten anymore, and then you want, basically we have to take the packing and compress it all the way up inside. So it does take some force to screw the packing and get everything compressed. So we'll take the pressure wrench now. And you might have to back this off one or two times just to double check that the packing is seated all the way up inside the nipple. And by doing that, you want to make sure that the packing or the peak bushing is started up inside the agitator nipple. At this point, you can see that there's a little bit of packing residue that you take your small screwdriver and remove that. Now if you look, you see that the peak bushing is started up inside the nipple and your packing is compressed enough at this point. We'll finish tightening it once we get the motor installed. So we slide the packing nut back on. And you can just do this hand tight for right now. We'll tighten it correctly later on. At this point, you also want to make sure that pushing on the packing and compressing the packing that you haven't slid the agitator up inside the vessel at all. So just you go around the front of the machine and slide the agitator down as far as it'll go inside the vessel so that the Teflon's seated on the bottom of the vessel.
Okay, that looks good.